Hi, my name is Ben Howes, and I am in the Computer Science Independent Certification class at Go Like High School. And today I wanted to share a little bit about the certification that I'm deciding to get through this class. What I chose was an entry level Python certification. Ever since I started with computer science based classes, I've pretty much always known that I like programming. Um, I've taken a lot of different classes in this area, whether it be cybersecurity or like compu- um, computer science, software engineering classes. But I feel like programming has always been a thing that I found that I really enjoyed. So that's why I chose to do programming. But why I chose to do Python specifically is because from my research, I found that it tends to be a pretty easy program to learn, but you can also expand a lot on it. And it also seems like sorry, it also seems like it is used in a lot of devices that we use every day, which I think is pretty cool. I also have a little bit of prior knowledge on it since the computer science and software engineering class that I took in middle school. We did a little bit with Python in that, so it was nice to know a little bit of information before heading into it. But anyway, I decided to get certified through the Python Institute. So this is where I did a lot of research about my certification, specifically the one that I wanted to do. So what I decided on was that I wanted to do this certification here, Certified Entry Level Python Programmer. Just something basic uh, that I can get some, basic knowledge on. And in the future, I do plan on moving on to another level with these certifications. So this is kind of what it looks like when I go in here. Let me come back to here. This is kind of what it looks like when I go in. I have it bookmarked just so it's easier. But I come in here, I resume. I'm currently on module 3. There are 4 modules, and then you take a summary test over everything, and then you can take the exam. So how it works is you go into a module. Um, it'll basically teach you about Python, and then in some in some cases, like they'll have you uh, write code along with them, or they'll give you like a task you can do, or they'll give you examples, and you have to like predict what the outcome's gonna be. And then basically, once you get through the study resources, you can take a quiz that you have to get 70% on, and then a test that you have to get 70% on, and then you can move to the next module. So I have finished the welcome, module 1, module 2, and I'm currently working through the study resources of module 3 right now. And something that I do while I go through the modules is that I like to take some notes. I find that they're really useful just for reminding me of stuff and making sure that I don't forget anything. And if I ever need to look back on how to do something or what something means, I can always come here to find it. So module 1 was a lot of, sorry for the bell, but module 1 was a lot of just intro stuff, a lot of stuff that I already knew, and just a lot of why the computer does what it does. And then if I go to module 2 is also a lot of what I already knew, but it did expand upon the stuff further, like what certain things were called, and gave more examples of stuff that I could do with the code that I already know how to use. And then there's module 3, the one I'm currently working through. I don't have too many notes on it yet because I'm currently going through it, but I also have this, which is just a little list of codes I can use and short explanations of what they do in case I need to do something and I don't know what code to use, or if I see something in my code and I don't necessarily remember what it means. And then I also have a link to Python's all built-in functions up here, which might be useful, but I haven't used it yet, just since I'm really just going off of what I've learned in the course, trying to see what I can do with that. So the last thing I want to do here is to show you a little bit about what I've learned. It's not going to be too much, just a little simple program, not too hard or anything, but so I'm going to make a comment up here, so you can do with the little hashtag or number symbol or whatever you want to call it. You can do that. Let's just make a program, let's say, solve a simple math equation that solves, I spelled that really wrong, solves, let's see, y equals, what do we want it to be, 7 times x, simple. So one thing that I've learned how to do is how to make a variable. So you do that by typing in what you want the name of it to be. For this case, it would be, I want to have them input the x value, so we're going to have x equals, and then another thing that I've learned how to do is how to let the user input stuff. So you can use the input command for that. But what I want to do, just because, is to make sure that it's an integer. Do I want to make sure it's an integer? You know what? No, I'll make it a float, just in case they want to use decimals or anything. But you make it a float. So basically, what the difference between a float and an integer is that an integer doesn't have decimal points, while a float will. There's other things like strings and what are they called? Strings, and I think Boolean. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm just getting into that, but things like that are basically types of arguments, I think, that you can put in. So if I do float and then I put input, another thing that I learned about, because I knew a little bit about the input command before, but I didn't know that you can actually use it as a print too. So I can do x value, make that uppercase just because I want to, and then I can do that, and then basically whatever they type will be after this. You know what I want to put up here is a print statement. Print just types whatever you put inside the print statement on the screen. So you can do things like strings, as I said before. I didn't really explain that, but that's just basically text. Like if I wanted to say hi, it would just print hi over here. And then it can do things like integers, which if I put like 1, it print 1. And if I put 1 point, it would put 1.0 over here, because remember has a decimal spot, so it's a float. You also have kind of more in-depth explanations, but I'm just gonna give you something simple for now. And then, what I want to do with this was a little title, just so that they know what it is, what the program does. Solve y equals 7 times x. Simple, easy. Then another thing that I learned how to do is how to use a backslash. So other than that, this is, and it's called an escape character. So the backslash signals out whatever after it will not mean, like, it will not be read by Python the same way. So if you do like \n, it'll mean that what comes out here will be entered to the next line. Like if I did hi, after that it would be solve for y equals x 7 times x, and it would be on the next line. It would say hi. And then you can use stuff like quotes if you want to use a quote inside of this argument, because you already have quotes around it. Another way to get around that would be to like use apostrophes, but that's just one way you could do it. But why I wanted to use this right here is just because I want to have a space in between this print and the input. So you do that, and then that's just the title, and then I can do print empty print statement. We'll just make an empty line, which again I just want that to make it look a little nicer, and then you can do print what sorry, you know what I want to do, I want to just make another variable, because why not? Y equals 7 times x. That's z, that's not x. Same. And then if we can do print the what do I want to do? Okay, I'll just do the answer is. Is that how you spell answer? I think it is. My bad. I'm not the best at spelling. But the answer is that I don't actually need this space, but that then I can just put y. So if everything runs correctly, like I hope it does. So for y equals 7 times x, so x value, if I want it to be 3, it would come out as 21. So let's see. 3, answer is 21. And it only does the decimal point after because I wanted it to be a float. Which is a good thing just in case if I wanted to, let's say, run it and I wanted to know 3.7. I can do that. Another thing that I can do is, I think, round, which I might need a little bit of a refresher on what it does, but it'll round it to, let's see, I haven't really experimented with this, but it'll round it to whatever this number is. So if I want to round it to 3 decimal places, like this would just be 25.900. Then that's what I would do. I'm gonna check. I haven't really messed around with this too much, so let's see if that works. So again, we'll do the same thing, and we'll do 3.7. Oh, and it just cut off the 9s because it rounded it, and there's no zeros in it. But yeah, it's just a little bit about what I learned. So yeah, that's all I have really. Just a little explanation of the certification that I chose and why I chose to do it, and what I've learned so far. If you want to get in contact with me, I'll have information in the description, and if you're on my ePortfolio, feel free to use the contact me page. Thanks for watching.